Mike Jackson, who is right in the middle of everything that's been happening in the auto industry over the last year. He is the head of AutoNation, and he joins us right now. Of course, AutoNation is the nation's largest auto retail sales. And, Mike, you've heard part of what Wilbur's been talking about. Did you hear that conversation?
Yes, I did, Becky. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And as usual, Wilbur is spot on. Yeah, the basic contract with the manufacturers was they're going to provide us floor planning and a full range of financial services, including financing and leasing across a broad range of credit profiles. And while they were usually a bit more expensive, the total package and the total relationship worked. For the domestic manufacturers to either totally withdraw from leasing, as in Chrysler's situation, or to become much more conservative, as GM and Ford has done, I think could be a basic fracture of this basic relationship. And I think auto retailers are going to have to rethink how they fund their businesses.
Mike, it's been 18 days since Chrysler pulled the leasing program into that leasing program at the beginning of this month. What have you seen in terms of sales on those vehicles?
Well, it's not good, quite frankly. Customers are in shock when they come into your Chrysler dealership and they're told that the manufacturer will not provide leasing. And this creates a question that even goes beyond those customers who want to lease. They sort of say, well, if the manufacturer doesn't know what this thing's going to be worth in 3 to 4 years or 5 years, even if I'm buying it, should I take the chance? So withdrawing from leasing is indeed a big step. Now, if I look at the Chrysler portfolio, I would say about 12% of the portfolio is confirmed leasing customers. That's all they'll do. And they will definitely migrate to manufacturers who will lease them. We're not able to convert them over to financing, and they will go to another brand. Now, we represent other brands, and we'll facilitate that, but Chrysler has walked away from that part of the marketplace, and it has implications just beyond the 12% of business that that leasing represented.
Hey, Mike, what's the macro with this? You got to get, if you can't lease a car, you got to come up with a down payment for a car. Are consumers able to do that, and where's the down payment coming from?
Well, all our consumers, not all of them, a huge percentage of our consumers at the moment are challenged on the credit side. We have credit availability issues just like exist in the housing, particularly in subprime. And you put that together, the question mark over the value of their house and the freezing up of the credit markets as far as any availability, regardless of price. And that's going to lead to significant declines in volumes, as you saw in the second quarter. So really, as far as recovery of volumes, we really need stability in the housing market in order to get the credit seize up to pass, and you can get back to a more normal business environment. But I think to Wilbur's point, what's happening with the manufacturers, the domestic manufacturers, the steps they've taken during this crisis go beyond anything that's ever happened before. And I think it is going to trigger a rethinking of how you finance the retail business. And you're either going to have the financial strength and the balance sheet to go out and make other arrangements, or it's going to have a significant impact on your business.
Well, Mike, do you think it could lead to severe repricing as they clear out the 08 models and the 09 models come in?
Well, what's interesting is let's do used market first. So it hit the fan in the middle of May, and sport utility vehicles were absolutely sales-proof. So we began to adjust prices, and after about a 25% price adjustments, customers have figured out that net, even with the increase in the price of gasoline, the vehicle is cheaper than it was back in the spring, and we're selling them very briskly. And as a matter of fact, we went to an auction a week ago trying to buy SUVs, and we couldn't get them. Yeah. So in the used market, it is already adjusted. Now, the price adjustment in the new market is taking longer. It's not as big as the adjustment we had in the used market, but forward production has been slashed. I expect some sort of further assistance to help with easing out the 08s and this bubble of used inventory will be gone, and production levels going forward will be lower.
Although, Mike, I bought a Jeep Commander 2 weeks ago. They're basically giving these things away at this point just to try and push the stuff out the door. I mean, you said down 25% in the used market. What is it on the almost new market?
Well, let's take, almost new. Anything that's not brand new is been price adjusted 20 to 25%. Depending on the model and the manufacturer, we have price adjustments of anywhere to 10 to 25% on new, and that is going to clear out these carryover 08 inventories. 09 production is going to be much lower, and the question is, what do they do with pricing on 09s? If they leave the pricing at the traditional levels, volumes will be much, much lower.
All right, Mike, want to thank you very much for joining us today. Wish we had more time, but it's always
Becky,
great to talk to you.
Good seeing you. Wilbur, enjoyed talking to you.
Good to talk with you, Mike.
Okay. Again, Mike Jackson of AutoNation.